Ties of Kinship 9. Upholding the ties of kinship is a vital aspect of Islam which cannot be abandoned if one desires success in both worlds. A true sign of one's faith is not spending all day worshipping Allah, the Exalted, in a mosque, but it is to fulfill the rights of Allah, the Exalted, and to fulfill the rights of the creation. One of the most important rights of the creation is to uphold the ties of kinship. One can feign piety by dressing Islamically, but they cannot deceive Allah, the Exalted. When one turns the pages of history, they will always observe that the pious servants of Allah, the Exalted, maintained their ties of kinship. Even when their relatives mistreated them, they still responded with kindness. Chapter 41 Fusilat, verse 34.
And not equal are the good deed and the bad. Repel evil by that deed which is better, and thereupon the one whom between you and him is enmity will become as though he was a devoted friend.
In a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6525, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that Allah, the Exalted, will always aid the one who strives to maintain their ties of kinship, even if their relatives make things difficult for them. Replying good with good is not special, whereas replying good to evil is the sign of a sincere believer. The former behavior is even seen in animals. In most cases, when one treats an animal kindly, it will in turn show affection back. It is confirmed in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 5991, that the one who truly upholds the bonds of kinship is the one who maintains ties even when their relatives sever them. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, was constantly terrorized by most of his relatives, but he always showed kindness towards them. It is commonly known that one cannot achieve success without the closeness of Allah, the Exalted. But in a narration found in Sahih Bukhari, number 5987, Allah, the Exalted, has clearly declared that he will sever bonds with the one who cuts their ties of kinship over worldly reasons. Bear in mind, this is true irrespective of how much one struggles to fulfill the rights of Allah, the Exalted, in the form of worship such as the obligatory prayers. If Allah, the Exalted, cuts ties with a Muslim, how can they achieve his closeness and eternal success? In addition, in most cases Allah, the Exalted, delays the punishment of sins in order to give people the opportunity to repent. But breaking the ties of kinship over worldly reasons is punished swiftly. This has been confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Ibn Majah, number 4212. Unfortunately, severing ties is commonly seen in the world today. People easily sever ties of kinship over petty worldly reasons. They fail to recognize that any loss which occurs in the material world is temporary, but if they are disconnected from Allah, the Exalted, they will face prolonged suffering in both worlds. A reason for breaking the ties of kinship, which is commonly seen within the Islamic community, is when one reaches a higher social status through their occupation. This inspires them to discard their relatives, as they believe they are not worthy of interacting with them anymore. Their love for their wealth and social status pushes them to the doors of paranoia, which convinces them that their relatives only wish to take their wealth from them. The Holy Quran indicates that these bonds will be questioned about on the Day of Judgment. Chapter 4 An-Nisa, verse 1.
And fear Allah through whom you ask one another and the wombs. Indeed, Allah is ever over you, an observer.
This verse also clearly indicates that one cannot obtain piety without upholding the ties of kinship. So those who believe they can achieve it through excess worship and fasting are proven wrong and must therefore change their behavior. Islam teaches Muslims to uphold all ties of kinship by aiding their relatives in matters which are good whenever and wherever possible. They have been ordered to adopt a constructive mindset which unites relatives for the benefit of society, rather than a destructive mentality which only causes divisions within families. According to a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawood, number 4919, creating divisions amongst people leads to one's destruction. Those who sever their ties of kinship have been cursed in the Holy Quran. Chapter 47 Muhammad, verses 22 to 23.
So would you perhaps, if you turned away, cause corruption on earth and sever your ties of relationship? Those who do so are the ones that Allah has cursed.
How can one achieve their lawful desires in this world or in the next when they are encompassed with the curse of Allah, the Exalted, and deprived of His mercy? Islam does not order one to go beyond their means in supporting their relatives, nor does it ask them to sacrifice the limits of Allah, the Exalted, for their relatives, as there is no obedience to the creation if it means disobedience to the Creator. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 2625. Therefore, one should never join their relatives in acts of evil. In this case, a Muslim should command their relatives to do good and gently forbid them from evil while maintaining respect for them. Chapter 5 Al-Ma'idah, verse 2.
And cooperate in righteousness and piety, but do not cooperate in sin and aggression.
Countless benefits are obtained by the one who maintains the ties of kinship for the sake of Allah, the Exalted. For example, the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, advised that the one who maintains ties will be blessed with extra grace in their provision and in their life. This is confirmed in a narration found in Sunan Abu Dawud, number 1693. This means that their provision, irrespective of how little it is, will be enough for them, and it will provide them with peace of mind and body. Grace in life means they will find time to fulfill all their religious and worldly duties. These are two blessings Muslims spend their whole life and wealth trying to obtain, but many fail to recognize that Allah, the Exalted, has placed both of them in maintaining ties of kinship. Maintaining ties of kinship is so important that the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, ordered Muslims to fulfill this vital duty even with their non-Muslim relatives. A narration advising this is found in Sahih Muslim, number 2324. One of the traps of the devil is that he aims to create dissension between relatives and within society, which leads to broken families and social divisions. His ultimate goal is to weaken Islam as a nation. Unfortunately, some have become infamous for harboring grudges which go on for decades and pass on from generation to generation. A person will treat a relative well for decades, but over one mistake and argument the latter will vow never to speak to them again. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has warned in a narration found in Sahih Muslim, number 6526, that it is unlawful for a Muslim to cut off ties from another Muslim over a worldly issue for more than 3 days. If this is the command regarding severing ties with a non-relative, can one imagine the seriousness of severing ties with relatives? This question has been answered in Sahih Bukhari, number 5984. The Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, has declared that the one who severs ties with a relative over worldly reasons will not enter paradise. One must reflect on the verses and narrations which discuss this important topic, and realize that if after decades of sins Allah, the Exalted, does not close his doors or sever links with people, why do people so easily turn their backs on their relatives over small worldly issues? This must change if one desires for their connection to Allah, the Exalted, to remain intact.